Welcome everybody, live from North Dakota State University. This is the third session of the Spring Fever Garden Forums. I'm Tom Call from the Department of Plant Sciences, and I'm here with Bob Birch and Scott Swanson from Agricultural Communications. The Spring Fever Garden Forums is where we connect you, the gardener, with the researchers and educators from North Dakota State University. And our format is a simple one. We ask for a 20-minute presentation on a timely topic, and then we follow this up with your questions. And we encourage your questions. Everybody who's on Blackboard Collaborate has the opportunity to type in your questions in the chat box, and you do that, and then I, as the moderator, will read that question to our speaker. So let's get started. Right now, we've got a full slate of presentations tonight. We're going to start talking flowers, and especially annuals. And I love annuals because you just plant them in the ground in May and they bloom all summer and into the fall. Can't go wrong. Perennials, they just give you a few weeks, but annuals all summer long, bright colors. And here to tell us about some of the top performers of the NDSU Trial Garden Program is Barb Laschkewitsch, a research specialist. Barb?
Thank you very much, Tom. Yep, I'm going to talk about mostly All-America selections tonight. We're an official All-America selection display garden at NDSU. And every year I get fresh seed from the current year plus the previous 4 years. So I'm going to talk about those that have been All-America selections from 2012 until 2016. And for those of you that don't know what All-America Selection is, it's a nonprofit organization that tests vegetables and flowers across the United States. It's typically been seed-started plants, but they have gotten into cutting vegetatively propagated annuals, and they're also starting some perennials. So in a couple years, we'll be seeing perennials that have the All-America Selection designation on them. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Angelonia Serenita Pink. This is also called Summer Snapdragon, and it's just a very tough performer, somewhat drought tolerant. It is listed as a plant that's tolerant or will kind of deter rabbits and deer from browsing. However, the first year I planted Angelonia, I had like a vole or something mow down all the plants, so clearly not unedible for the flowers, but it came back so nicely over the course of the summer that I really couldn't believe it. Just was a very nice bushy plant. Okay, there's been a couple cannas, but the most recent is Canna South Pacific Scarlet. This is a seed-started canna, and it's a pretty orangey red color. And despite the fact that it's seed started, it still gets about 3 to 4 feet in the garden. So it's still a real showy, tropical looking plant. And it will produce roots that you can store, although oftentimes the seed started cannas will not produce fleshy enough roots to store, but this canna you certainly can, and it's done very well in the gardens. Okay, Dianthus Jolt Pink was from last year, and the key to this Dianthus is that it won't stop blooming in the heat of the summer. And a lot of times Dianthus, they're more cool season bloomers. This one stays through the heat of the summer. It's also nice for cutting flowers, for those of you that like to have flowers that you can bring indoors. Okay, Echinacea, and I know I was going to talk about annuals, and this clearly is a perennial, but if we start it early enough, we can get this to bloom the first year. And you have to start the seed of this by January 25th, January 30th, by the end of January at least, to get it to produce bloom. And the unique thing about Cheyenne Spirit is the different colors that it has. It doesn't have just the pink, as you can see here. It has oranges and kind of salmony, white, a wide range of colors. It is supposed to be hardy to zone 4, but my experience with some of these odd colored Echinacea is that they do winter kill, but certainly you could keep it in the ground and see if it does come back for you each year. Okay, Gaura Sparkle White, and I just really love this plant. It was an All-America selection, I believe, from 2013. You have to start it a little earlier in the spring. I think I started about February, but it gets to be a big, nice, bushy plant. And for those of you familiar with Gaura, they get these wands of flowers that have really nice movement in the wind. And they're also very drought tolerant. So if you like low maintenance gardening, this is really a good one for that. It's a native to Texas. So if that tells you anything, Texas is a big state, I know, but there's some rough areas. So that's a good, tough plant to grow. Geranium. This is Pinto Premium White to Rose because as it opens, it's white and then it kind of turns into this rose color. Very good performer. On the right is the All America Selection picture. On the left is how it performed in the gardens last year. It says you don't have to deadhead this because the new blooms will cover up the old blooms, but I think with a lot of geraniums, you still want to deadhead them to keep them looking neat, but certainly you don't have to deadhead this one to keep it in a nice bloom. Now, these two geraniums are going to be seen this summer. They're 2016 All America selections, Brocade Cherry Night and Brocade Fire. These are not seed-started geraniums. These are vegetatively propagated. So I haven't even got the plants yet. They haven't sent them to me. But the unique thing with these is the foliage. And if you look at Brocade Cherry Night, it's got that really deep chocolatey foliage. And then Brocade Fire has the chocolate with the wide green margin and then those bright orange flowers. So kind of anxious to get these in and see how they do for us this year. Impatiens, New Guinea Florific Sweet Orange. And this was a couple years ago. And for me, this one has not done well. And I think I just, in the spot that I grow it, it's a little too dry and not fertile enough for it. It does have that really unique kind of bicolored salmon flower. And then it does, New Guineas will take a little bit more sun than regular Impatiens. So if you have a bed that's like maybe sunny in the morning and shady in the afternoon, that would probably tolerate that a little bit more, although you'd like to give it a little more water with the higher sunlight. Okay, now the next two Impatiens, Bounce Pink Flame and SunPatiens Spreading Shell Pink. These are also vegetatively propagated Impatiens, and these Impatiens are resistant to the downy mildew that's been killing the Impatiens Swelleriana across the country. These are both hybrids, as you can see here, and they will take more sun than the other Impatiens as well. The picture on the left, again, is from the gardens last year. The picture on the right is supplied by All America Selections. The Bounce series gets its name because if it does get a little dry, they kind of wilt, but as soon as you water them, they bounce back, and that's how they get their name. And then the SunPatiens Spreading Shell Pink, again, the picture on the right is All America Selections photo. Picture on the left shows them how they did in the gardens last year. And again, this bed got full sun most of the day, and they did very well and had a really nice kind of light pink color to them. So I also don't have these plants yet because they'll be sending them vegetatively, hopefully soon. Okay, there's been a couple ornamental peppers as well. Black olive on the left. You can see the very small black peppers that turn red. And then New Mex Easter, which is a lot more showy. It gets these, Easter egg colored peppers that go from a lavender to a yellow to a bright orange. Very showy. New Mex Easter is a smaller plant. It only gets about 10 inches. Black olive should get about 10 to 24. These will always do better in warmer weather. And they're very hot. So they are edible, but they're almost, well, I guess it depends on if you like spicy or not. You can harvest them if you do like really spicy stuff. And then in 2016, they have Black Hawk coming out. And again, very similar to black olive, where you get these deep black olives that will gradually turn red by the end of the summer. Osteospermum Akila Daisy White is from a couple years ago. And it's got that very pretty daisy-like flower with a lighter center to it. And this one also should be better. It should be better at blooming in the heat of the summer, where some of the other osteospermums tend to go into like a little bit of a lull. I still find that this one has some inconsistencies with the bloom, but certainly if you like that big daisy-like flower, it's a very nice addition to the garden. Penstemon Arabesque Red. This is not a perennial here. I believe it's to zone 6 only. 2 years we've been growing this. I'm really pleased with the flower production. It attracts hummingbirds and pollinators with that very tubular flower. Very showy. It does need to be deadheaded. So for those of you that maybe don't like to do a lot of work in the garden, you maybe don't want to do this one because it does need that deadheading to keep it looking clean and to kind of promote more flowers. But I was really pleased the last couple of years with it. And then lots of petunias with the All-America selection. We have African Sunset on the left and Trilogy Red on the right. Now African Sunset is kind of a unique salmony orangey color, and they kind of touted it for using in school colors if you have orange and black or that sort of thing. And you can see, again, these are in the gardens 2 years ago. That's how well it did. Just very, it's called a mounding spreading petunia because it's not supposed to get that dead center that a lot of petunias do. And then Trilogy Red on the right is more of a compact mounder, just with that very unique red color. And then Tidal Wave Red Velour. There's a couple of velour colors now that just have that deep velvety color to them. And the Tidal Waves are hedgeflorous, so they will go 4 to 5 feet in all directions if you let them. You really need to have a larger spot in your garden for this particular petunia. And the petunias with their constant bloom are a little bit heavy feeders. So if you find that they're not doing as well for you, you might want to think about fertilizing them a little more often and making sure they're in a nice rich soil. Okay, the Salvia Summer Jewel Series. There's 4 colors here that have been recent All-America selections. There's white, red, pink, and then in 2016 we have lavender, which is in the center of your screen. And the unique thing about this salvia is its compact habit. So it's about 20 inches tall. Another plant that attracts the pollinators. So if you like the bumblebees and the hummingbirds to come in, this is a really good one for that. I like to deadhead it a little bit at the end of the season. It kind of gets a little dull with the older flower heads. I don't think you need to do that, but I just find it cleans it up a little bit. But otherwise, they're just really good performers. And then the Vincas, this one's Jams and Jelly Blackberry. And it's just got that real unique dark purple. They say sometimes it looks black, but the picture on the right kind of shows more true to what the color is. The picture on the left was supplied by All-America Selections, and that does show that deep purple color. But in the garden, I find it's more of just a nice lavender without that black coloration. And Vincas are great for drought tolerance. If you have a hot, sunny spot, they really love that low maintenance environment. And then the last All-America selection I have are some zinnias. We have Profusion Double Deep Salmon on the left and Profusion Double Hot Cherry on the right. And these are hybrids, and they're a little bit less susceptible to powdery mildew that we see on the Zinnia elegans. And these are just prolific bloomers. They're like little shrubs of color. And the only problem I have with them is that we have white mold in our soil. So I have to be careful about that showing up. But otherwise, I haven't seen really a whole lot of problems with these. So those are the All-America selections. And I just have a few more I wanted to mention that have done well. And the first one is the Begonia, the Baby Wing series. And the Baby Wing series has been around for a while. We had white in the trials about 10 years ago. And the nice thing about these is that they're very low maintenance and they tolerate dry shade very well. And they've got kind of the mini dragon wing leaves to them. Pink bicolor and red are 2 new colors to this series, but you can see both those pictures are from the beds last year, and especially pink bicolor did really well. And anything that's really low maintenance, I love. So Calibrachoa Kabloom is, I'm mentioning it because Calibrachoa typically is vegetatively propagated. This is a seed started series, so we're getting new colors where you can get the seed and start them yourself. Calibrachoa are a little higher maintenance. They like higher fertilizer. You have to have a really good drainage, full sun. So they have not done well, and I probably need to fertilize them more, a little higher maintenance, but I just wanted to mention them because of this new seed series that we're seeing. Canna Cannova wonderful cannas. Again, it's a seed-started canna that's been specifically bred for northern climates. So it tolerates the shorter days, the less sun that we have up here. And again, they're started from seed, but these plants will get 3 to 4 feet tall in a season. And they do produce roots that are strong enough to store over winter as well. But very easy to start from seed. And there's a whole series. There's yellow, pink, red shades. And I think I have a mango this year and another one. So exciting to see that again for those big tropical flowers that you might like. Whoops. Celosia Arrabona Red came out a couple years ago, and just, I can't say enough good things about this. Bright color, healthy, uniform, very nice. It would probably dry well if you like to dry flowers, but I mean, you can just see from the picture how bright. If you like those warm colors, this is a great one. Euphorbia Glamour, and now euphorbia is typically something that we see vegetatively propagated, but this is a seed-started one. There's glitz and glamour that are newer, and it's like a baby's breath filler. You see this in pots a lot. Very easy to start. I just started mine about a week ago, and they're already growing, and they're so simple to start, and you get this nice, I mean, they just, again, this is one that I just really loved last year. Nasturtium Phoenix. I just love this flower, that bright orange split petal look, and it'll really fill in as a ground cover, very easy to grow and also edible for those of you who like to eat your flowers. And then to finish up, how about that, under 20 minutes? We do have a website for the gardens on campus, the NDSU Horticulture Gardens, which are on the west side of campus that are open anytime. But I put a report together on the bedding plant trials. And if you want to access the previous year's notes, I take height and spread, any disease problems, that sort of thing. It's right there up on your screen. And it also talks about the other beds we have in the garden as well. That's all I have. So we can take questions.
Okay, thank you, Barbara. That's great. Let's have some questions out there in the audience. We welcome your questions. Now's the time for it. While we wait for those questions, so you said that research and demonstration garden, it's open anytime
It is.
to anybody? You don't have a guard dog there chasing us out?
We don't. And if anybody wants tours, they can.
Tours?
We can take them on a tour. Otherwise, they can wander through at their leisure.
Okay, great. Okay, we have a question here from Fargo.
I'm wondering which of those plants are the most deer resistant?
Okay, please repeat the question.
She's wondering which one of those plants is the most deer resistant. Yeah, I don't know. Really, it depends on how hungry the deer are. I have a bigger problem with jackrabbits out there. The only one that I talked about that mentioned resistance to deer was the Angelonia. But like I said, there was something that ate the Angelonia, so if they're hungry, they'll eat anything.
Okay, Barb, how about how can you prevent that white mold from taking over your garden?
Oh,
Sclerotinia, is that right? Sclerotinia white mold?
I'm sure.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's tough because it gets in the soil, it persists for up to 10 years. There are some new fungicides on the market that I have not yet tested. I mean, rotate your crops if you're getting it so that you don't keep zinnias always in that one spot because they're really susceptible to it.
Right, the zinnias, you've had the most problem with them.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Be careful with that. Do any of the plants take part shade?
Do any of the plants take part shade? Well, certainly the New Guinea impatiens will take part shade. Almost everything else is going to do better in full sun. Actually, the geraniums, those two vegetatively propagated ones that I don't have yet, they're listed as tolerant to partial shade, which kind of surprised me because I don't think of a geranium as a shady plant, but we'll see.
How about, you talked about some 2016 All-American selections.
Yes.
So is that your own private stock of seed, or can other people buy those selections?
They've changed. It used to be All-America Selections would give all their display gardens the new seeds, and then they wouldn't be available till the following year. But now they've changed that about 3 or 4 years ago, where stuff that's new this year should be available to the home gardener. I'm not saying it is, but they're making it available as much as they can.
And when you go to that All America Selections website, they have seed sources listed.
They do.
For
Yep.
for their winners, so you can follow the trail. Also, there's a magical tool called Google. So if you just type that in, that can lead
Yep.
you to some seed catalogs.
Mhm.
How about, where's a good place to get the seeds for those cannas that you talked about?
Well, I get them from the actual breeder. So I would say, again, go to Google.
Yeah.
There's a couple seed companies I use, Park Seed, Thompson and Morgan, Burpee, that may have them. But again, it's going to have to look and see.
What was that new color for the salvia in 2016?
That's a lavender, which is a new color for that whole salvia species.
What's the size of Glamour Euphorbia?
The size of the Glamour Euphorbia, it got about 10 inches, 10 to 12 inches high, kind of just spilled over for me where I had it growing.
How about, what does it mean to be vegetatively propagated? Easy for me to say, vegetatively propagated.
That means that if you produce seed, you don't get the same quality, so they take stem cuttings typically so that they can maintain the same quality of plants. So that's what vegetatively propagated is.
Yeah, so there's no seeds involved, whereas, you know, sexual propagation.
Right.
This is an adult audience tonight, so we can talk a little bit like that. Sexual propagation has to do with seeds. Okay, so how about, is the jams and jellies blackberry vinca susceptible to powdery mildew?
I have not seen powdery mildew on that. I see aster yellows on the vinca, which is kind of, it's a funny disease. It kind of blows in with the wind because the leafhoppers spread it. You'll get one plant that looks yellowish and funny and the buds are goofy. So you need to pull that plant out. It also hits petunias and marigolds, but the powdery mildew I've not seen affecting that.
Okay. You mentioned a lot about the All America Selections winners. Are they usually available at a garden center? Is there a way to find an All America Selections? Like their distinctive logo maybe? Or?
Yep, their logo. If you're looking in seed catalogs, that logo will be there. And I guess you just need to talk to your local nurseries to see if they have them in stock.
And there's another question about deer again. A lot of deer problems out there, but we don't really have an answer for that. Just a 8-foot high electrified fence. That's the answer for deer. Or some lead treatment.
That too.
How about I know you like that African Sunset Petunia and the Trilogy Red Petunia. Are they similar to the Wave or the Vista Petunias?
Nope. Trilogy Red especially is not. The waves spread and kind of vine. Trilogy Red stays, nice little compact dome form. African Sunset, again, it's not going to be like a purple wave that goes everywhere. It's supposed to spread a little bit, but yet stay mounding. So they don't go as far as the waves do.
Yeah, they just seem like a normal petunia, a typical like grandiflora,
Yep.
whereas the waves are really kind of revolutionary in the way they spread.
Right.
Especially those tidal waves. Wow, those are powerful.
Right, they can really overtake
Silver
your garden.
wave is wonderful. How big does that Gaura Sparkle White get?
The Gaura gets about 15 to 18 inches. So it's a good size plant. It gets equal in the width too. So it's a bushy. It's not for a small garden. It'll really take some space.
Okay, I think I got all the questions. Anybody have a last second question? Or anybody in our Fargo? We have some people from Fargo there, got some garden orphans here that without their teacher, so they came into our studio tonight. So welcome to them. Do you have a question, sir?
Yeah, quick question on the impatiens. Do you know, or do you expect that the resistant ones to the mildew are available in the garden centers locally? Or how many would there be available now that are resistant?
The Bounce series should be, and I've seen the Bounce in Fargo here. The other one, I'm not sure, the SunPatiens. You'll have to check.
Those are the only two then.
Well, the other Bounce series, I'm not sure about, but I'm assuming they must have some resistance if that one color does too.
So the question had to do with, was it downy mildew we're concerned about with the impatiens? Was that the new emerging fungus? And the Bounce series of petunias, or impatiens, show resistance to downy mildew.
Yep.
What is the variety of coneflower in this picture?
That's the Cheyenne Spirit.
And that's
just one of
half
those
hardy. Is that a
fun-
half hardy?
It's supposed to be zone 4, but I think the colors, yeah, I wouldn't say that they're fully hardy from my experience.
Right. So, okay. Any last questions before we move on? Okay, seeing none. Barb, thank you very much for brightening our night. We can't wait to get planting right away. Thank you very much.